Well, this is what I got. It's got a quick release, which you can't do one-handed because it won't let you. There you go. Most motorhome ones have got screw-in jobbies, or the pipe that's left permanently in, or you have a little wind out. My hose pipe is this. Nice piece of steel I can weld to on there, so I can put any diameter pipe on that I want to, just by getting an adapter and welding it on. A hydraulic adapter will do. We've got a little gate in there. You quite literally, it relies on the pressure of the water inside, but you unwind that and then the flap is free to move. Water will come out, and when you're finished you wind it in. I didn't see any of this, and that shuts the trap inside completely. All brass, it's quite heavy. There's the trap. So we're going to make a bracket here so it fixes in sideways or out the side of here, whichever. I haven't made my mind up yet. That'll then be connected up to the tank, because I can get my hand in there. It means we can put a fitting through the side of the tank at the bottom. We can then seal that in and bolt it. A piece of stainless plate behind. 4 nuts and bolts will hold that in place permanently. That can then be coupled up. We can even raise that up a little higher if we need to get some gravity. So that's my plan on the water system. We have another one of those tanks which I'm planning to put in the Land Rover. I'm hoping it will fit in that moggy at the back, but we've got some work to do on that. But that's another conversation for another day, because I've had enough of talking about that. So that's what we're going to be doing over the next few days. I'm going to make a start today, although I'm not going to work for very long. I'm not in the mindset for this, but this is what Aaron gave me. He works for a particular company that deals with waste, and I'm very grateful for that, because I wouldn't have them if it wasn't for that. The lad has been watching my channel for a while now, and he gave me a load of this stuff. So this is going to go down on the floor, but I'm just trying to figure out what's the best to do with these lips underneath. I don't know if you can see them, because that's an area for mud and crap to get trapped under, and I ain't got no grinding discs, so I'm thinking Evolution saw might be enough to scrape that off and treat it like a piece of wood and use the blade to across like that. The other problem I got is this tank that I picked up. No ifs or buts about it. I want this in. I want to use this pipe with a separate filler, so I can run a hose in there to flush it out. I want to use this pipe as my waste connection, but I need to drill a hole in the bottom somewhere for a outlet, and then I've got to make up a coupling on this and make it so this can be bolted in place on the floor, because you've got that quick release unit, which I'm really impressed with. The yard wasn't particularly too happy about selling it to me, because he was making fire hydrants around the yard, and I think I took one of his hydrants away, but it's such a handy bit of kit, and it's a lot stronger than the plastic stuff that they sell in the camping shops. So I mean, that's probably 30 years old on its own, and it's still good for another 30 odd years. I'll outlive this. So the diameter of hose is about 45 mil outer diameter, so I would say she's about 40 mil inner diameter. What I need is a load of that down there. That's my inlet. It actually goes straight down to the tank, but I'm now having debates about my tank. My waste tank is huge, and as you know, we've got the shower, and if I'm down the beach I'm swimming, so I need the shower. I'll be using a lot of water. We don't have enough weight in the back, most of it's in the middle. I need to balance that out at the back at least. So I'm thinking about putting a second tank down that side, but instead of it going under the tank, I'm thinking about having it on the outside. So instead of having the tank under the lorry where frost can freeze it, I'm thinking about putting it under the cupboard, because we're not having a slide out anymore on the back. I don't have to be particular in how I make up the units. There is room for it down there, but to make a you know, everything is against me, because it will be the same level as that one, and the slide out going through the middle for which is going to be the motorcycle rack. That's all going to be in the way of that. So the hose that joins the two together. So what I might do is grab another tank. I know where there's another one. Put that on the floor here and strap it down, and then run a hose. So run the filler hose around the outside into that one, and then run a hose from that one across to that one so it fills up. That will balance everything out with a bit of luck and give me a double capacity. I honestly can't remember how big that tank is under there, but it is a standard, one of the larger standard sized tanks. It is pretty big. At a guess, those wheelbarrow tanks, I reckon it'll take 1.5 of those to fill it up, if not 2, if memory serves. It's quite a big tank, but having that second tank down there would be even more ideal, because that one down there will be prone to freezing. So I'm hoping that the water in that one, because it being room temperature, will keep that a bit defrosted at times. I don't know, until I try it. I don't know, might be a completely daft suggestion that I've just come out with, but who knows. So the plumbing for that has got to be done, but I want to get that floor done first. Definitely want to get that floor in first, and then we can do the walls. I don't know how I'm attaching the walls to that bit of chassis, because this tank, it's got brackets already there on the back, but it bulges out a bit, so there's got to be a hole cut for that bulge to go through, and we've got to lift it as hard as we can without interfering with the slide out. We're not going to get it that high, but I don't know, we'll see, won't we? There's only room for one bolt to go through there at the moment, so what we might have to do is get the grinder out and weld the bugger on. I'm never taking it off, so once we've hammerized the brackets up, that's it, it's done, isn't it? That's there. I have no reason to remove it, so, and then there's a possibility that tray's going in, although I'm having a bit of a, I don't know if I want to use that as heavy, but it would be handy to be able to put generator on that, and if I need to do some repairs I can pull it right out and repair it, and I ain't got to uncomfortably crouch inside that hole. But it makes it easier for it to be stolen, and being a Honda one, that's something I don't really want to happen. So we'll see where we're at. So let's get to it. Oh, hoses. I was talking about hoses, I strayed. We've got to make a fitting underneath this. I want to use that point there, and I ain't got any steel. I was scouring the garden, and Aaron has come to the rescue again, and he doesn't even know it. Remember these bull bars that didn't quite work out? Well, they're the right diameter to slide the hoses over, and we've already got preformed bends in there, so I'm going to cut that there and cut it there, make up a plate here, or get it as close to there as I can get it. And I have got some stainless that he gave me, but it's destroying me blades, because it's a grade that's so great I can't drill holes in it. So I might just get a bit of mould steel, make a plate up, and then make a second plate and sandwich the two plates together through the tank, and actually run my hand right through. But I think first things first, we need to get that floor in. Once we get the floor in, we know where we're going from there. But as I said, I'm having a lazy day today. Right, moving on. Right, I'm talking to you guys as well as the wife. We have a problem. That tank is not going to go in there the way I wanted it to. It's going to sit too low on the tray, which means the generator is not going to go in. I want the tray on there for servicing the generator, and if I've got something heavy like a battery I need to get out, it'd be nice to be able to slide that out, pick it up, and you know what I'm saying? It just makes it easy. So, the only other thing I can do you follow me, I'll show you, is behind here. I'll have to literally, the beauty of that tank is it's got a filler spout, and I can turn it end up, but it means I've got to cut a hole in the floor here, because there is no physical way of getting that tank under the lorry. I ain't got a jack powerful enough to lift this thing. So I'll have to cut a hole in the big floor, take the sandwich out carefully, then get some wood and wood off that area and have the tank sticking out slightly in the floor, which is not a problem because I can board over the top of that and insulate. Okay, but it now means that when the water in the shower drains down, well, as we all know, water can't defy gravity. So it's got to go from here all the way to the back, and it's got to go uphill, and the sink water as well. So what I'm going to have to do has just become 5 times more complicated unnecessarily. If I just had a smaller tank, it would have made life a lot easier, but I can't find one. What I'll have to do now, oh god, I love engineering. I'll have to make a sump, a box with a sailing boat bilge pump float in it, and I'll have to seal that box up, put the pipes from the shower and the sink into the box, and then have a feed from the, so it's basically a box with 2 holes at the top with a float inside it, and then I'll have a pipe come out the side of that into a separate pump, which will then pump a smaller pipe as well, which will then pump that water through into the tank which is over there. That's all I can really do. So when you turn the tap on and water goes in there, it will fill that sump up first, a little small, say like stainless steel tank or something. And we'll just have to have it. I've seen the way I can do it. And if I have an open tank, if the pump packs up, it's just going to overflow the thing, and that won't cause problems in the shower room. So I might do an open tank, separate open tank, and cut a hole out in the floor at the back, which is not what I had planned at all, but I don't see any other way around this. The tank won't fit. I'm too tight to buy a proper tank, and even if I had a proper tank, Sue, I still don't think I'd get it in that space, because I need a big capacity tank for the 2 tanks that I'm putting in for fresh water. Yeah. So that tank will have to go under, and the water tank that I spoke about earlier to you will have to go on top of it, and that'll have to be completely surrounded in its own cupboard. I'll have to put a screw-on panel in front that can't be removed other than undoing the screws to get access to it, and that whole cupboard area that I'm planning on building over there will have to be fully removable. So if I need to drop the tank or pull the tank out, that can come out. I'll have to make that so none of that can be glued, none of it. That'll have to just be screwed, and that's the end of it. And the tank will have to be insulated, because the cold under the floor will get in through that area. Fumes from anything like that blower, the fumes could find their way in through that, so it's all going to have to be sealed up. In fact, I'll use this rubber seal, this rubbish that I bought. I'll use that around the wood and seal it all in with that. Okay, well, I can't do any more today. I'm now stuck. I've got to get in here tomorrow and clean out. I'll clean that back out. If I can get access, I'll show the guys on the camera what I'm talking about. I've measured it, but it will have to stick through the floor a little bit. There is a space at the back. I'll have to cut out, I don't know if that's legal, but I'll have to cut out that backlight bracket that I left in there. I don't know if that's legal. I'd actually like to mount it to that, but I don't think it's going to happen. And we'll have to somehow fit it in here, and that'll have to go through that part of the floor there, and we'll have to make some new bracketry up somehow. So I'll have to find some angle iron in the garden, and we'll weld the tank brackets to the angle. So we'll probably go onto that piece of metal there and the framework above, and weld the whole thing on, and then we'll have the outlet pipe at the bottom. So now we need to find a way of emptying it. So what I might do is run the hose straight across this side. I've got one more locker left, one locker door, one of them little ones up there, and I might put it there and have a special bracket made so as I can put this on, and the hose for that will have to be stored in there. Boy, has this just got extra complicated unnecessarily. Right, the simple answer to this is I've got a bit of metal to remove down there, and then we can lower her down even more, turn her the other way up. But we are going to have to sit there, brace up the hole that I've cut. So we're going to cut the laminate floor with a jigsaw next, just the laminate floor, and the plywood under it, so I can put wooden blocks around. And then it's a question of building a box over the top with insulation around it and on top of it that's fully removable, just in case I do need to get access. As you can see, the sink point is here, so there's no reason why we can't just have that running along, the pipe running along, and then slowly bring it downhill into there. That's the plan anyway. Oh, the waste will be there. We've got a spare locker. We're going to cut a hole out and we're going to feed that unit there in. Excuse me. Okay, I just want to show you this scruffy bit of fiberglass on the bottom. I'll explain that in a minute, but it's very wavy and pretty knackered. Well, I don't fancy my chances with the MOT man laughing at me with this, but I've made it with scruffy steel. There ain't no money left, so I had to go around the garden and see what I could find, and that's what I found. So they're welded to the bottom leg. That will be bolted onto the bottom frame, and then we'll put a block of wood across there and screw that to that, and then we'll put another piece of wood across there to wedge it, and that's how we're going to hold it in. We're just literally going to build it up with wood and wedge this in as tight as possible, and then I'll build a wooden frame around that and basically box it in. But I'm not boxing that in until I've got all the hoses that I need to plumb up, so that will get left for a while with an open floor. But once it's all boxed in, everything will be fine, and that'll work out just nicely. And for connecting the hoses in, all I'm going to do is just drill 2 holes. I'm going to make them as small as I possibly can and push the plastic through, and hopefully it will wedge tight. And I don't think I need any more than that. I think that will, on its own, will be sufficient. Right, I screwed it in at the top. I just got to bolt it in down at the bottom. But it is, I mean, that'll be a lot tighter than that when it's done. I'm just trying to work out at the moment, and that's the only wood I've got left. That's a problem. I was going to use that to frame around and then make a second frame around that. Do you know what? There's just times when you can't do the job properly because of lack of materials, and I have a lack of materials. So I think what I'm going to do is no more on the woodwork. I'll get some fresh wood. I'll fill in that back piece that's missing, but I think after that, I think the best thing I can do is just stop at this point until I get some cash in my pocket, because this isn't really going to work. They are building over there. I was debating whether to nip over and be cheeky and see if they've got any spare wood. It's done. 2 bolts down the bottom. I don't know if you can see those. There you go. It's a lot stronger. 2 of them. Did put the frame out of shape a tiny bit. I don't know, but that's pretty strong on its own, to be honest. But with water sloshing backwards and forwards in there, we do need to at least put a plank across there and a wedge across there. We may not need any more than that, but we definitely need one there, and I need more wood to do that. So that I can't do no more to this now. That is it. Right guys, before I show you this, remember the outrigger on the back of the lorry that I cut off? I have actually used that to make the mount for the hydrant, and there it is. So I chopped it there to get some angle. That's going to be bolted to the bottom steel sill on the truck. I've got to drill some holes here and here for some mounting brackets to go up, because this is heavy. I mean, the metal underneath ain't going to hold that, so it does need some reinforcements. A very badly welded tube at the back for the hose to go on, and then we've slit in, folded along there, folded along there. We've angled it, we've cut it, welded it, and we've cut that just to get it a little neater. And we've also wire brushed it back I used it for two reasons. One, it was a thick piece of steel. Actually, three reasons. Second reason is it had all the holes already in situ, and the third reason was the thickness of the steel as well, because this is a fair old lumpy weight that's got to go in position. So tomorrow I'm going to cut a hole out and I'm going to mount it in place. I can't do it now, it's too late in the day, but tomorrow I'll mount it. We'll cut the hole out ready for the door to go in, but we're not putting the door in yet because I've got to spray that up silver, and we'll get the mounting brackets done, and then I really can do no more to that back end until I get some hoses. I'm not 100% sure how effective this is going to be, because the way I put the tank in, the tank I think is still a little too low. I've got a horrible feeling that the hose pipe is going to be going uphill to empty. I'm hoping that this is going to sit low enough. I'm hoping, but no guarantees. I did measure, but this is such a large bulk. Maybe it was a little over the top, but hey, you know me, I like to be different, and that's definitely different. So yeah, it's strong. It's heavy, but it's strong. I'm just hoping that because it is at the lowest point of the truck, it doesn't come to be slapped. I'm a bit concerned about that, because it is, I mean, it can't go any lower before it's on the concrete, do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, this might have to come off and be re-sighted somewhere else, but for now that will do. And we'll see where we end up with it. So that's it, that's the end of the day. I had enough. Right, well, the hydrant is in, and I've got two threaded steel bars locking it down, one on the outrigger, one on the gas bottle support. Unfortunately, I forgot all about that, so it's a little hit and miss really, but it does miss it. So when I screw that all on, I'll put some black sealant around that to lock it in, but it really don't need sealing, it just needs screwing on. Well, I say don't need sealing, it needs sealing up there and down there, but the rest is immaterial. We'll whack some washers behind when I put the rivets in, and as far as I'm concerned, that'll be fine. That comes out like so. A quick release, I might polish that up, and this badly fitting rubber plug goes on the end. Problem is, I think it sits higher than the tank, so I'm going to have to raise the tank up, which is not a particular big deal. It's solid, look, it's not going anywhere. Brilliant. So it's all there. Just got to get the locker sprayed. I've just put the primer on, the actual cover, and we'll go from there. The locker is now fitted. It's not great. I had an error with the paint, as you know. We are going to have to repaint it. Bit of an annoyance. It's really lumpy and very soft up there. And there is the unit all ready to go. We just got a couple of hose up in the background, so we'll run along that metal framework, clamp it down so it can't move about. If we have to lift the tank, and I think I'm going to have to, it's either going to be dead level or the tank will be slightly lower. It's no big deal, we just got to run a few nuts on the threads that are going through the frame. We might even be able to go as far as putting some doweling in and lifting it with some doweling, similar to what I did down here, which you probably can't see. Let me just spin the camera around. I don't know if you can see that, but I stacked it because I had to lift it because it was too low. I couldn't, this wasn't clearing that hose point. So there you go, all done and dusted apart from the hose. So tomorrow I'm going to get some alley cut if I can, and we're going to get in here and line the walls. I'm not looking forward to that job actually, because it's going to be a noisy one. I need to find my tin snips really. You've got to find another 5mm drill bit to bust one today and put more rivets in, take the rattle away. Then we can put the tray in, clean that down, and we'll put the generator on that. Because I can pull it out, you see, I can service the generator when it's actually in here. I don't need to worry about it. And I want to try and get some locks fitted on here somehow, but I'm not really sure how that's going to happen at the moment, because there isn't a lot of room for anything. So I'm really not sure how I'm going to do that. We might have to put central locking on it. or those spring-loaded gates. And then at some point when I get power washer out, give it a good wash, get all that stuff off, it's a mess, and then we've got to make that locker up. And then we hopefully when I get some more money I can return to the water system and we can get the shower plumbed in, get the wastewater fitted. The wastewater is going to go uphill. We've got that thing to buy, I can't remember what it's called, sump, got that to buy. But ideally I need to get this wall plumbed in next and get some welding done, but I ain't got the materials to do that at the moment. So we are pretty limited to what's going to be done over the next couple of weeks. We've had a lot of expenditure. And that bloke is still chasing me for the bulkhead. eBay, I think, are not being very polite. They want their fees and they're not cancelling the transaction, so he says. Although I've got cancelling pending. That's as far as I got it at the moment, but I did say to the guy, as I was a committed purchaser, that if it came to it, I will have to drive to Bedfordshire and go and buy it, but I don't need it. So if I do have to buy it, anyone's looking for a bulkhead for a Land Rover Defender, please let me know, because I'll have one sitting around. Right, that's it for the day. Can't do any more. Right, I can't go any further on this. I need a tube to run from that tank to the outlet, that side. And obviously the waste pipes that have got to go in the shower and the sink have all got to run at separate heights. I don't have the sump for the shower, don't have the pipes either, and here's the biggest problem. I'll be running the pipe work on the sink at a height, and I'll be coming down slowly until I feed into the tank. The problem is, as you can see down there where the doors are, there's no structure whatsoever. So I think what I'm going to do, just because I'm itching to get going on it anyway, the plywood exterior on that I'm going to leave for the moment. I'm going to buy all of the ply in one big massive hit. I think we'll save up and try and get as many sheets in as we possibly can. So my first task soon is we're going to start these doors. I mean, look at my panoramic view out of that back window, what I can get. That's why I picked those. Yes, they're single glazed, so they're going to feel a cold. But one thing I did have a thought about doing was making up some covers to go over the glass at night with insulation in there. So if I do use this truck in the winter, I can literally pick these big blocks up that might hinge in the middle and stick them in there and then peg them down and then draw the curtains, and I'm insulated. That's kind of one of my plans I've got going on. What I'm going to do with this, because we're not sliding this out anymore, is we're going to weld up here. This actually pulls right into that edge, as you can see. So we'll weld all the way along that bit there, all the way along that one up there. We'll try and do some filling welds here. We'll just try and fill it up or weld it up to there somewhere, and the same there. Once we've done that and we've got that fully hooked up and it ain't likely to fall off, we'll then measure up at the bottom, drill a few holes, or use that dreadful saber saw. I don't know yet how I'm going to do this, but I need to separate the base of those doors, and so I can release that slide out unit, because that's going to be my new motorbike rack. Once I've released that, I'm then going to weld a tab on here and screw it down, so we'll pull that in so that is flush, and we'll tab it down there. And then this area here, we're going to get a piece of flat bar. We're going to cut the fiberglass so we can overlap the flat bar onto this and onto this, and then we'll do a few welds down there, and then I'll drill a few holes all the way up, and we'll spray foam all on that inside area. Now it will blow right out through that gap, I already know this. What I actually intend to do with that is I'm going to remove all these screws, they're not needed no more, and I'm going to grind all the way down that edge, and when that filler foam comes blowing out, I'm going to cut it, get it all nice and trim, and then we'll put some fiberglass tape and some surface tissue over this, so we'll sand all this paint back. I know, waste of time doing that, because I knew I couldn't get behind that door once the walls were in, which is why I did it, but now we're not, so it don't matter so much. So we'll sand that all back, and we'll fiberglass up to that edge, over this edge, and try and seal that slide out fully in. It will be cut roughly around here, all the way along, and that bottom panel will come out all the way out here, and then there's going to be a mechanism go across where that will then lift up. You then slide it back in, and then like a forklift, I'm hoping to drop it down to the ground, wheel the mopeds onto the back, and then lift it back up, run a couple of locking bolts, and that's my bike rack. And we're even going to go as far as putting a tow hitch on the back of this as well. People ask me, why did I slope the tail end? It's mainly because, two reasons really. Because I sloped up there, it needed another slope there just to blend the slopes in, but also I have found myself on the back of recovery lorries many times on various vehicles, and the one thing I've found that has been a massive problem is the towing guys like to pick them up by the front wheels sometimes and tow them by the rear. Obviously, having air brakes, they're going to have to wind the screw out on the duplexes and release them, but if I've got too much of an overhang, there's the risk it will hit the ground. Second reason is when you get put on the back of a low loader, that back end has a habit of hitting the ground. That's why I sloped it. It was just me being practical. If I had my way, it would have gone straight down, because that would have given me another area for another locker for another day. Now I'm off up to the surgery in a minute to have COVID jab number 2. I don't know how this is going to affect me. Generally, I don't know. So if I do end up getting laid out, guys, I'm just going to load the video that you've got already straight up, and I might restrict the amount of videos that I put out on a time span. I might actually start loading them up once every 2 weeks, because I think the quality will be better, because I can be more picky with the footage. When I do them in a week, it's difficult to be picky because you've only got so much footage that you've done in that 1 week. So yeah, I know this video is a bit of a chatty one more than anything. Well, I say it's playtime over. This is what I've woken up to. Rain. We ain't getting no more done today, and I've got other things to be getting on with. You can see all the engine components and the Citroen sitting on the floor. We're trying to sort out the particle filter underneath the engine. I think the sack of fluid that you have inside them has clogged up. Sorry, it's empty, and the filter's all clogged, and that's took the rest of my time in between rainstorms. So I'm going to upload the video. The locker's in, we've just got to get hose for that now. Get the welder in there, weld that back door up. That's going to be the next job. As I say, next week we'll see if we can get some welding done up here. We'll get this thing sealed in properly, I think. Cover these glasses up so we don't get sparks all over them. Weld that up, make up some angle brackets down there, and then next payday we're going to get some wood in and we'll cover that. That panel along there, I think I might put fiberglass or a sheet of alley or something over it. And then what I'll do is I'll glue on insulation, and then I'll put a shelf across and go from there. And we'll drill some holes in these little channels, and we'll fill out the spray foam just to stop the condensation issues in there. And we'll spray foam behind here once we get some flat plate to run down, and seal that all the way up down to the floor, and then we'll fiberglass it up on the outside, and we should get no more leaks through that area. And then we'll chop the bottom so as the slide out frame underneath can actually do what it needs to do. So we're a little bit ahead of ourselves on that one. Woodwork for the shower room will wait. We won't do that yet. I've still got to plumb in the waste tank, but we need that sump first before I do that. That sump actually has a built-in water pump, but I don't know if it has a float in there. That's the only other problem. Until I've ordered that, I won't actually know. And once we get that, we'll get in a load of this old white pipe, this stuff from B&Q. We'll get several of these, and we'll start plumbing everything up, including the waste tank exit pipe, because I am actually looking forward to filling that tank up and draining it all out and see how effective that valve is going to be. I don't actually know how good that will be until I put water in, you see, because I don't have the seals shot on it, and it could just sit there and just gently leak on me. You just don't know until I start testing it all out. So I'm trying to do things as properly as I possibly can. Don't get me wrong, I have gone seriously overkill on some items, and I've kind of, either the fuel tank that you see is a bodge, but I'm hoping it'll be an effective bodge. Certainly a lot cheaper than buying a purposely made tank for the job. I'd never get one in there, and it'd probably be undersized anyway. There's no room under the floors for a CAX tank, because you can buy those. They're massive old tanks. On my Dodge 50 there was a big waste tank underneath that never got used in the end. So yeah, I'd say things are going reasonably well. Not brilliantly well, but reasonably well. I'm hoping tomorrow. I have not got a troop to Bedfordshire. Actually, I'm not going to get that bulkhead. I am not purchasing that. It's not something I need. And as you can see outside, we've got this Citroen car that our son gave us, and that has got a lot of problems, and I need to sort that out. My wife's mobility is more important than a Land Rover. Bulkhead, I'm wondering. Actually, I'm not wondering nothing. I've been on eBay, and eBay are telling me he hasn't released. He hasn't done everything he needs to do his end according to eBay. So cancellation's pending at the moment, and he hasn't cancelled it completely. It's the impression eBay gave me in a text message. So I'm not going to be going after that. I feel bad, but no. Not happening. So with that in mind, we've got a plan. A buddy of mine has got another Rover V8 that needs some severe repair and doing. The threads in the cylinder head blocks are gone. The trike isn't going anywhere at the moment because I've got that oil problem. I'm wondering if I've got a done-in breather somewhere on the engine and it's pushing oil in. But to be honest, I think I might actually yank that out anyway. And the Rover V8 is going to need some money spent on it. But if I can get some new threaded dowels made up and rethread the holes in the block, thread those in, and then put the heads on, drill through the heads, that way I'll get a perfect match, and then I can drill through, put a new UNC thread in there, and then order some new bolts, and hopefully then we can get the heads bolted on. Possibly got a sleeve that's shifted in it as well. I'm not 100% sure about this because a lot of the early Rover V8s that I've opened up in the past, it's always cylinder number one that's down a couple of millimetre on the sleeve itself for some reason. But the best way to find out if that sleeve is gone is to check the heads and see if the heads are all banged up on the end. If they're all banged up with a recess, that's the sleeve whacking into it, and then we know that sleeve is gone. But there is I'm going to call it what it is. It's a bodge, and that is you can drill holes in the bottom of the engine casing below the water jacket, and you can put what they call them, grub screws. You will run grub screws through there and you can drill them into the sleeves, but you've got to do some serious sanding on the inside, and mate, it really is a massive bodge. But if it works and I can get a good engine out of this, I'm going to do it. Simple as that. Just because I want to do it. I want to try, I want to learn. So that's what this is really all about. I already have a converted gearbox, BMW gearbox, and with a bit of luck, after June summer, I should have the capabilities of welding aluminium. So I might actually take the steel ring gear off and order a new piece of ring gear. When I call it a ring gear, I'm talking about the bellows. And the bellows is made of alley, but it's a solid lump. You can't pull it apart and change the bellows on those. What you've got to do if you want to make them up is either buy the appropriate adapter plate, or you make up a new ring to bolt onto the engine, and then you weld that onto the actual bellows. And well, mine happens to be made of steel, and I welded a lip around it and then bolted it through. What I want to do is to take that off, get another aluminium manufactured up the same thickness, which is about 1/4 inch thick, and then I want to put the new holes in, whack it onto the engine, line the gearbox up. So I need to make an adapter to go on the input shaft to keep that absolutely dead straight and perfect, lower that down onto the engine, couple it up into the clutch, making sure the clutch is lined up perfectly as well. That's very important. And then I want to weld that aluminium bellows into the aluminium ring gear that I got, and then hopefully we'll have a working gearbox adapted for a Rover V8. That's something that's coming up if I can pull it off. I may get lazy and just bolt my adapter that I've already made, which is not the greatest looking thing in the world, to be honest. It really isn't. It's quite bad. And I've got to find the gearbox. I don't know where I'll put it. There's two. There's one for a 300 turbo diesel, and there's one for that. And I don't know where that one's gone. Whatever. Anyway, look, thank you very much for viewing. Thanks for the thumbs up on the rat rod. I know it's backyard mechanics, bodgy and all that, but if it works, it works. That's how I see it. And so far, everything's quite successful on that. We're going to get the on the next rat rod. We'll get the radiator fitted, and we'll switch the trike down to the bottom, truck up top, and then we'll pull windscreen out, stereo out, because it's a very expensive stereo in that, and we'll get the plasma cutter out and we'll start cutting steel off in anticipation of ordering some metal in and making up the new front end that I've got going on in my head, which is a radical alteration to what it is at the moment. I'm not thinking about putting the wings back on that, so tune in for that rat rod one when it comes out. I don't exactly know when I'm going to do it because I want to put priority on the Citroen outside, and I want to look at getting that V8 sorted out for the trike because the summer's here. The trike has been insured for the last 3 years and I haven't driven it. I think I've done 20 miles on it in total in 3 years because of the engine issue, and I want that on the road again, just because it is what it is. So again, thank you very much for viewing. So see you on the next episode. Bye bye.